Hey everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things Florida real estate on how you can take your company to the next level. So for a while, I've been talking to the Sarah Rocco, and she's been this realtor all the way in Northeast Florida. And we've been talking back and forth for months and months and months. And I never had the opportunity to ever meet her. And there were several things that were happening back in March and April that we were trying to figure out. Something happened in July. And ever since I've talked to her, we've been just going back and forth on different topics. And she is a rock star realtor over here. She's got her whole team. She is an amazing, bright personality. She knows what she's doing, and she's always a go-getter and doing things the right way and always trying to tackle it. So without further ado, I want to bring Sarah on. I want everybody to hear her background. She's so popular over here in Northeast Florida. So without further ado, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Al, for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Because like I was saying, you and I never met before. I mean,
No, never face to face.
Never. I mean, this is the closest thing.
Yeah, and you can tell we have a lot of good energy and we work the same. We want to help people. We come from value in our industries. And so I felt that initial energy with you to begin with. So happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm the type that I seem to get along with everybody. And the more I do this,
I'm not special.
No, you are special to me for sure. You are. And it does take that certain personality, but it's funny when you meet the different types of personalities out there and you connect like we did. Like I think Cody connected you and I initially on some deal.
Yeah, you're right.
And we were trying to figure out, can this happen? Can this not happen? And it's amazing how the power of technology, like we were talking about backstage, just connected us and now leads us to this point. And now I get to sit down and everybody gets to hear about Sarah Rocco and let it go. So tell everybody who you are. Where did you come from before real estate, before you really dived in? And then how did you get to be the rock star team leader that you are with the Rocco team?
Okay, great question. So I'll tell you a little bit about where we are today, and then I'll back up and tell you what I was before. So started in real estate 5 years ago this month, and started as a solo agent January 2016. And then in 2017, May of 2017, I started the Rocco Group. And now we are a team of 11. We went from my first year helping 27 families. And last year we were able to help 197 families buy or sell real estate and sold about 66 million in real estate. So then back up because that was your question. So prior to real estate, I was a stay-at-home mom was my full-time job. I was actually the CEO of that role for 14 years. And I dabbled in flipping properties. I dabbled in really like home decorating and home design and stuff like that because I had a partner at the time that was in general contracting. So I loved that piece of it, but I didn't really dive into anything business related until real estate. And so that's my background. I basically was needed a flexible career so I could be a present mother and present in that space. And so that's what led me to real estate.
So you were super mom before real estate hit.
It depends on what my kids said, but I think I was.
So super mom first, but then you got into real estate. What was one of the first things that you put your hands on with real estate? Like, was it a listing? Was it a buying opportunity for you? Like, what started the role for you to get in real estate?
Started the role was more than like I went back to school. I thought I was trying to really invent myself. You know, later in life, a lot of us go through this process of having to reinvent ourselves. I was really inventing myself at that time. And I realized very quickly that a lot of careers would require very set time and I needed flexibility. So that's why I went down the road of real estate and I enjoyed it. Everyone watches HGTV and all these shows that are, you know, available to us now. And they love the idea. And so I was one of those people. But what really, when I dove in, I realized it was going to be a lot harder than I expected. And so I rolled my sleeves up and I thought, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you have that kind of energy of like, how do you tackle it? What do we have to do next? So, in your first year, do you remember how much volume you did? Like, what was the amount of money or gross?
Right around 8 million. So I took properties from $44,000 was the lowest I sold all the way up to 300. 300 was the top sale I had that first year. I worked with investors. I worked with every person that would literally give me business. I was like, yes, yes, yes. I was a yes person that first year.
So you were pretty much doing everything. Did you at one point start realizing when you were doing it, not before you built the team, before you got there, but like, did you start realizing what that niche is that you were starting to see that I'm really good at this? I need to focus my strengths on this and keep going. Like, did you focus on luxury? Because I've seen your stuff. I've seen that the whole team is sitting in this really nice house, and I'm like, wow, she got that listing, or she's got a buyer for that property. But all in all, it looks like, there was a move to maybe luxury. What niche was it, and when did you start shifting over?
So I think the first shift I have, if I'm answering your question correctly, was the shift of it wasn't, I knew that I could only do so much by myself. So my first shift was I needed actually leverage. Leverage was my focus after my first year because I knew leverage would give me more freedom and I needed more freedom. So my first shift was I loved selling real estate, but what I loved more, and I feel like you're this way too, you're an educator, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, like that's your passion is how do I educate people? And I learned that I loved to help new agents. And I love to give them my secrets and give them things that, I didn't have scarcity mindset around. I'm not going to tell anyone what I've done because I want to keep it to myself and, they're going to take my business. I didn't want to be that person. I enjoyed sharing. So the first niche that I went down or niche that I went down was building a team. And I knew that if I focused on one thing, there's so many shiny objects in every industry, but in real estate, there's a lot of shiny objects. And I wasn't going to get bogged down by focusing on something like luxury yet, because I knew that that would require a lot of me. So I figured if I created them and had people, then I could grow a luxury division. So you'll see that we pivoted last year into luxury. It was at the right time. So
Wow.
you
Did
can
you
build it.
we'll get into that whole COVID thing, but I guess that you pivoted right before that hit.
Perfect timing.
Exactly, perfect timing. Couldn't have been better.
Right, right.
But the niche of really building a team, I obviously really helped you out because you were able to even delegate more. You're able to trust people with the admin work or the things that could make you stronger at what you do. And leverage was something that I know you wanted to talk about today. So for those realtors and investors, it doesn't really matter who it really is, as long as they're in the real estate world. Talk to us about that leverage and you capitalizing on that leverage to take your business to the next level.
Yeah, so leverage has been the one thing that has changed my business, my career, my life, really. And you don't always a lot of times you think when you're first starting out and you're thinking maybe I need an assistant, maybe I need help. You think, "Oh, I'm going to have to take the responsibility of supporting that person from a financial standpoint for however much they cost." So an assistant is 35 to 40,000 here locally. And so you think, like, I'm barely making that. How am I going to then, in your first year, your first couple of years, it's hard. You're feeding your family, but you have to feed another family. You have to break it down into, I have to support that person for 30 days. If their talent in 30 days, they should be freeing up you so much from doing the 80% that is they should be doing, that they should pay for themselves. If not in 30 days, at least in 60 days. So your investment, if you break 40,000 down to 30, 60, 90 days, is only a 90-day investment. So it's actually a very small investment. And if their talent, they're bringing back multiple what you're paying them.
And
So,
there's a benefit to all of that as well. I
oh
mean, and you see that in your business. This is why you just keep expanding, right? Is the
yeah.
Rocco Group expanding?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have a business coach. I've always had a business coach. From the moment I could afford a business coach, I had a business coach because I believe anyone in any industry that's excelling at a high level, they have a business coach or they have a coach in some capacity, whether it's health, whether it's sports, whatever it is, they have a coach.
Well, you know something that's interesting, and going off any question I ever have here is I've actually not heard that one yet on one of my podcast episodes about having that kind of support system like a business coach. It's great that you talk about that because I bet a lot of realtors and professionals don't think about that kind of support system. They think business coach and they're like, "No, I got it on my own, like I can handle this whole thing." But you're bringing value by talking about the benefits to even having somebody like that on your team that can help almost redirect or guide which way you're going, or you don't go off path. So talk
Right.
to us about that. What is that all about?
So, could you get there? Could have I succeeded at a high level by myself? Yeah. Would have it taken 5 times, 10 times longer? Without question. So would have I been okay without a coach? I do think so. But our growth trajectory is 30% growth year over year for the past 4 years. That's almost unheard of. And so when you have 30% growth, like could have I gotten there in 8 years? Probably, but I wasn't willing to wait. I wanted to get there further faster. And if you can invest in yourself to talk to the people and the coaches that have failed forward in that element or in that space to tell you, actually, don't do that. I would do it this way. So that way I don't have to make the same mistakes or reinvent the wheel, so you have a person, if they're the right coach. I would say that's the key, is hiring the right coach. So I interviewed the coach before I hired the coach and made sure they were the right fit for me. And guess what? In the first time I failed and I had to let her go and it didn't work out. And then the second coach was great. And then the third coach was great. So just because you find a coach doesn't mean they're the right coach. And so don't give up on coaching just because it was the wrong coach for you.
Right, that's almost like an employee too. I mean, you just got to keep it. You got to keep trying. You got to keep seeing what works. There's got to be chemistry that's built between everybody, and also you recognize, wow, is this person motivating me? Is this person driving me or aligning me to getting to another level? And I guess something I'd even ask you with your team, because you are a leader for your team. You are their coach, basically. So, right. So you have a role too. You're not just like, I'm the contract is this, the price is this, I think we could do this. You're also that inspiring leadership role type that can lead the team. So what do you do to help motivate your team and get them on the right track to success that helps build the revenue, build the volume that you're making?
So I'm a avid learner. I'll always be learning, a lifelong learner. And so I'm reading a book right now called Coactive Coaching. And it's teaching me how to be a better listener, a better coach, because a lot of coaching is listening and listening behind what they're actually saying. So I have to learn how to be a better leader, a better coach, and a better listener. Really, it comes down to listening. And on our team, we have different levels. So at some point, they get the opportunity to coach with me, and it's usually after their first year. And so we do one-on-one coaching. I hold them accountable, but I also teach them that the accountability piece, like the numbers, their daily goals, that should be a given. Like that, you get that done no matter what. That way we can talk about how to grow your business, how to grow leverage in your life, how to have more freedom for you and your family. That's what we talk about. So it's numbers, and I'll hold you accountable. But by the time you coach with me, you're already an accountable person to your own numbers, because you've been taught how to be accountable. So then we're talking about, how do you grow as an individual? How do you grow your real estate portfolio? How do you grow? What do you want in 5 years? How do we work backwards to get there?
And so on that alone, like how do you help guide them on that kind of vision for them? Like, is it you sitting down having that personal plan, like using the whiteboard and drawing out like, your strengths are this and this is where, yeah, like look at this whiteboard. I mean, she's got everything here. It says welcome. I feel like maybe there's a class today for me. But
I'll
but
Our team.
I know, yeah, exactly. But what are those things that you're talking about with them to say, here's how we can help see where you're going with this? Because you are the leader with them, but you collaborate also. I feel like you are a big collaborator. What are those guiding principles you do?
So, someone in our real estate industry who's just the biggest, most influential guy I know, his name's Ben Kinney. And he said, if you can help change the individual's lives on your team in a just a deep, deep way, from a financial way to a personal way, they will never leave you. And so the first thing I do is we break it down and we talk personal, we cry together, we laugh together, we talk about their financials, we either set them up on a P&L, a snowball of debt. We find a way to help them have financial freedom. So that's the first thing, is you have to be really vulnerable and be willing to let someone. The first time I talked to Samantha, my director of operations, and I said, all right, we got to talk personal finances. How you doing? And she was like, I'm not going to talk to you about that. And then like now it's changed her life. She's paid off all her debt. She's buying a house this year, and she's very young. She never thought she'd be able to do that in such a short period of time. And so that's how I go about it, is okay, how am I going to help you change your life? Because what brought you to where you are, like we'll have agents that have great years, and I'm going to say the person you were that year isn't the person you have to be to become the next level, or the things you did this year, you have to change, you have to grow. So how do I push you to that next level? How do I open up your eyes? Because a coach, a leader, sees things that other people don't see. So there's that quote that says, a great leader holds you accountable and takes you where you want to go. A great leader takes you where you ought to go before you even see
Wow.
it.
Yeah, that's definitely going on the quote card for sure. So, because these are leading principles and these are inspiring things about, how can you, it seems like what you do, Sarah, is you know how to build a relationship with your team that gets on a deeper level, which by doing that, it changes them and their perspective, because they realize what you're trying to do is really help them grow in their direction that they need to go. Not just you, not just, in the direction of the Rocco team, but it's like, they also just, you're a mentor. You're a big mentor for all of these people, and you're building a winning team together. And it's just building relationships. I forgot, somebody said that on Clubhouse the other day. You can have zero money. All it is about is building the relationships, and the money will come.
Yeah.
And so if relationships are everything. It's all about relationships. Yeah, because if you build those relationships, they last and they bind, and they stick. I mean, look at this. I mean, you and I talked back in March. We kept in touch. It's just building towards, a conversation, a flow. And you can call me anytime about some situation. And I'm like, all right, what's happening? What's there? So it's all about
Right.
building relationships and getting deeper with your team.
Yeah,
And
I can do that extremely well too. And you can notice the people that care on a soul level. So they care on a deeper level than just their next paycheck, just the next deal, and you instantly get like the people that are going to be in this industry for a long time understand that exactly what you just said. Their relationship is the key.
that's it.
Now, if you're going to be in the industry a couple of years, then who cares? Let me just get a bunch of transactions with a lot of sales.
But that doesn't happen with the type of people like you and I,
Right.
because we're in it for long term. We're in it for, being an influencer, which you are. You're in it to help others. And by that you grow and they grow. And then that also helps your brand and image.
Mhm.
So I feel like when I was gonna ask you this question about, like, how do you feel like you're standing out different from everybody else? Like, what are you doing that's separating your team from the other teams out there? And I think obviously part of it is brand. Like, you're all over the place when it comes to the Rocco team, right? It's image, but it's also doing these things, because even if they leave, even if they do their own thing, they know that you're there because you care. So, like, I was going somewhere with that.
Yeah, I have a quote that I use, or a tagline we use is leaders made here. And the reason I say that is because there's been two individuals in particular that have left and gone on to other opportunities, and they have become a leader in a much larger capacity. And I want to think that their experience with me and their experience with our team allowed them to become someone so much greater than they even thought they could be. And if I can give you that, then I've done my job. And if you stay and we grow and there's upward mobility in our organization for you, then that's a win too. But my goal is to, if I don't bring value to every person on our team, then what is the benefit of being under, an organization or in an organization? So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, you have to provide that value, whether it's with the employees, whether it's with, your team members, because you don't just collaborate with the people that you work with at the team. You're working, like you said, with investors. You're working with other realtors.
And you asked a question and I didn't even answer it, so I
Oh,
apologize.
no, no, go for it.
What makes you stand out from the crowd? What makes you different? One thing that I don't do, so yes, I know if there's a team and there's only one that's ahead of us in production and is doing a better job. I study the strategies people are using, but I also keep my head down and stay in my lane and just do what I do best, because it is so easy to get so distracted by so much garbage. So, and so I just stay in my lane, and I don't, like, if I get excited, I'm like, oh, I should go do this. I should go do that. All right, I go back. Okay, is this what I need to focus on?
That should be a room in itself, right? The stay in your lane room, but
Yes.
talk about how like you need to stay in your lane. Like you focus on this, I focus on this, and we call it a day. And that's a great mindset, right? On its own is time. Yeah.
Okay, so you could have a 5-lane highway and it's under construction, and it's all at the same level. Like none of it's complete. So if none of it's complete and it's under construction, can you pass through on that 5-lane highway? No. But if one lane is open and the other 4 are not, can you pass through and traffic moves freely?
Take it.
But if you're working on all 5 lanes at one time, you're not making any progress.
Right. I usually feel like I'm taking the left lane, which is the fast lane at all times. So I think I stayed in my
Like
lane.
rapidly failing forward.
Yeah, right. Like I'm going on the left, But you're right, because that happens even with business, right? See, what we're talking about right now isn't just real estate. It's like business stuff, right? And that happened when I interviewed Whitney Ritchie. Like in the beginning of the interview, we were talking all about like insurance and like, how do you be the best insurance? And then all of a sudden, like if you ever listen to the episode, you'll hear like halfway through, we start talking about business and employees. And she's got like team meetings about the light bulb, the speed bump, and like something else. And I'm like, what is this stuff? And she says, these are things that motivate the team to like talk to us, communicate, like tell us like what you're learning. The light bulb is what you learn. The speed bump is the thing that stopped you and tripped you up for the week. Like those are really critical things that almost have been changing my perspective of having team meetings in the law firm about, being open with this stuff. And there's so much to talk about, staying in your lane with employees that, they want to be focused on so many things. So total value here, Sarah.
Stay in your lane as a leader. Stay in your lane. Let the people under you that are talented do their job. I have an amazing director of operations, and she's like, Sarah, stay in your lane. Hey, don't come in my lane. Don't come micromanage me. I got this.
Wow,
Yeah.
she's giving you the real right there, huh?
Oh, she gives me it a lot. But it's good, because as a leader, we want to have control over so much, and you just can't. You have to be able to give that up.
Yeah, you have to be able to see like who can work on it and what your strengths are and what you need to be focusing on. Because if you're not focusing on it, then you're losing the part that you're good at. And that's a whole thing too. But I wanted to make sure I also covered, because this is kind of going into staying in your lane, but also managing your time in a way to make sure that if you're doing this for your business, you are not all over the place, right? You're all over the road. You could be all over the road on the clock too. So one of the things you wanted to talk about was that. So how does this all apply even for time management, whether it's in your real estate business or just like things that you do?
Yeah, so I plan out my entire year first. So I'll think, okay, what's my most important in my personal life, with my significant other, with my children, with my spirituality, with my exercise, and I do my personal life first. But I'll plan that out for the entire year. So what does that look like? How many times do I want to exercise? What do I want to do? Do I want to run races with my kids? Stuff like that. So fill that cup first, your personal, and then work has to go next, because if you put in work, it will expand to fill anytime. So that's how I do it. I do my annual, and then I do my monthly, and then I do my weekly. But you'll see every hour of my day is time blocked. And it's with different colors. So I'll color coordinate it according to things that are going to make me money, things that are going to fill my personal cup, things that are team oriented. So when you look at your calendar, you can say, okay, I'm spending about 15% with the team. I'm spending about X amount percent with my children, with my kids. And so whatever that is, so really owning your time, because the biggest failure with entrepreneurs is they don't manage their time. So all of a sudden they went from a corporate job of 9 to 5, and they had a set schedule, and then they're like, now I'm so free, now I have so much flexibility, and they fail because they haven't made themselves accountable to setting their schedule. And so we teach that with all of our team members, is on Sundays, Fridays or Sundays, they have to send in their calendar for the next week. And they have to, and it helps them Monday when they go into work, they're prepared. They're mentally already organized of what they're going to accomplish. So time management has been a game changer. And it's really the only way to actually like efficiently get the most out of your time.
So yesterday on the show, I had April Giuliano. They are big time investors that started out, and I think they came from New Jersey, but then they moved here to Florida. And then one of the things April wanted to talk about was time blocking and, you know, how it gets your business going. And it's so funny, once you said time blocking, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's time management. And so what a concept that people want to talk about this, to inspire others to do it also. It's hard to be organized. I got a personal assistant. She's going to start Tuesday. I think I need that at this point. The things are just going to go all over the place. I'm going to be on everywhere.
I need that too.
And even that's something tough. You have to find somebody that's good too. And it's a lot of work just trying to do that for all the resumes and seeing what works. But time blocking, the way she was even talking about it, was for her in the sense of sellers. She like takes 5 hours a day and all she does is call sellers. Just like you're saying, you have color coded, like you're doing this, and that's so crucial. People don't do that. I don't do that. I definitely don't have colors on my calendar and things that I'm basically like, oh, the phone's ringing, the email, let me just email. And maybe that doesn't help my time management at all. And fortunately I have the time to do it, but those are valuable tips.
I find you're a lot more productive when you actually set aside the hours to do the thing that you time block.
I didn't know that time blocking was such a big, like, inspirational topic too.
Changer. And then in addition to that, there's something called batching. So batching is where you spend, like, say you're like, my goal for 2021 is to read 2 books a month. So I know that I would rather batch 2 hours or 3 hours in a day, knock out my reading and go on. Whereas some people would rather read 30 minutes every day. For me, I'd rather time batch. I'd rather do, lead generation and converting and care calls and stuff like that, X amount of time. And so I'll batch that time.
Yeah, that takes organization too. That takes time in itself. Like, I just can't, I'm like, you're telling me that I can't think like when I even have time to do all that too. But
me, I said, okay, I have some time open, and I'll know exactly when I'll have the time according to what's already previously time blocked.
What's there? Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Next time we talk, you're going to be time blocking.
Oh, I'll be time blocking. First of all, you'll have a time block, which will be there. I'll have Sarah there, and then all the other things that I don't even know what's happening on that day, because the day can get chaotic, right? Like right after we get off, like you could have 3 sellers that want to do a listing, which is not on your time block for the next hour, which can shift your day. Like how are you flexible in that way?
Right. So I have, if you were able to allow screen sharing, I'd show it. But I have listing appointment openings. And so throughout the week, they're red if they're not set, and they're green if they are set, because green for money, red for stop. And so I know that those slots are technically open for appointments. And so if I can do that, then I'm able to, my assistant or whoever's setting me appointments, my production partner, she'll set appointments during those blocks of that I have it open. Otherwise, it's just a cluster, and is she available? Is she not available? But now they have those set slots that are available.
So, before we keep going, I wanted to make sure I fit in the other thing you wanted to talk about, which I have no idea what this is. I saw the pumpkin plan and all I thought was like an actual pumpkin, but it can't just be about the actual pumpkin itself. There's something to this. Does it tie into time management and all of the other business leader tips? What is the pumpkin plan?
So the pumpkin plan is a book, and I read it last year, and it really changed the way I looked at business. And it's for any business whatsoever, and it is not directly focused on real estate at all, but it talks about how a farmer, he sows seed for pumpkins, and then as his pumpkins start coming up, he's pulling out the weeds, and he's getting rid of the ones that aren't going to be the winning pumpkin for the pumpkin contest, and how to take that analogy and put it into your database and into your sphere of influence and your past clients, and be constantly watering and nurturing and loving on everyone, but then also know when that customer or that client is requiring too much attention, but it's never going to be a top pumpkin. Right. And so a lot of times, and even in my first year, it was, I'll take all the business I can get. And you'll have the people that are just a drain, and they're, sucking so much life out of you. And to be okay with saying no. Actually, I'll give you to someone else who can help you at a higher level. So it teaches you how to say no, but how to eventually have a business full of loyal, really great pumpkins, and then you have your top one. So it's like a funnel. And so you have your best pumpkins, your best clients, the ones that have given you business, repeat referral business, and how to love on them. And so it helps you create this whole plan, a whole business strategy on relationships, and how to say no to the ones that are a time, vampire of your time, and the ones that are helping you grow your business. And so it really helped change my mindset around, because I used to, if you're a high I personality and you like people to like you, then you think everyone needs to like you. And if they don't like you, you're trying to figure out how they can like you more. Whereas realizing you're not probably going to get much more out of that pumpkin, and there's just, the relationship wasn't there, get rid of it, move on, focus on the ones that, are bringing in the most.
It sounds like a full refocusing of your game plan.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that applies to any business too, where when you just start, you're basically taking on everything and everybody, and then it's coming at you, but you don't know what maybe you want yet. And then like a year or two in is when you get that feeling of, wait a second, I don't want to do this. That person doesn't mesh well. I love this. I love that client. I want this more. And I guess that is that whole reshuffling, refocusing, then right, to get the pumpkin that the pumpkins in a line that you want.
Exactly.
Loyal pumpkins.
Before you know it, you have a whole flock, or I'm not sure what farmers call it, but of large pumpkins. And
Big
then
pumpkin patch.
those pumpkins have no more pumpkins that are going to be, and so it teaches you how to build a long lasting business through relationships.
So it just popped in my mind. So does the book even cover the fact that when you get those pumpkins you want, that by building it with that pumpkin, it could lead to another really good pumpkin.
And it teaches you how to get more out of them and what conversations you should have with that pumpkin to then get more pumpkins. It's so good.
Oh,
It's,
I feel like reading this book now.
you got to read it. It's so good. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Bottom line, I'm going to throw a quote at you. And this isn't in any industry, but are you in your 5th year of real estate, 5th year of law, or are you in your 1st year for the 5th time? Because so many people, I'm going to say it one more time. Are you in your 5th year of real estate, 10th year of real estate, 20th year of real estate, or are you in your 1st year for the 10th time doing the same thing you did year after year after year? Someone said that to me and I was like, yeah, no, I've got to change to where I'm constantly growing.
Growing. Absolutely. Why keep repeating? I thought the word insanity when you were saying, are you in your 1st year and your 5th year? It's like you're just doing the same thing and it's obviously not working and you're just not focused, right? You're not focused and you don't know the priorities and stuff. I had to do that with my own business. For a while, I felt like, oh, I do all this stuff and you do everything. And now, like, even 2 years later, I'm like, nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So it becomes like, Al, so all you do is probate? Well, no, I don't all just do probate, but like you find out what works for you, what is driving. That's why I feel like when you said the pumpkins, when the things align, you want to tackle those more. Those are powerful quotes, Sarah, and a book that everybody should read because it refocuses where you're going with yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So before we conclude, I had to ask 2 questions for you. So obviously, I can't get off the show with talking about probate, but one of the signature questions I always ask, I have to ask that. But one of the signature questions I have to ask is biggest deal killers. So we could break it up into 2, or maybe it's combined because probate is the biggest deal killer. But like, what is your biggest deal killer that you find in the field? I've heard different answers on appraisal, the lender, whoever knows, the title company. I thought I heard something the other day. Now it's not hitting me, but what is that biggest deal killer for the Sarah Rocco world?
This is going to sound a little bit cliche. I believe there is always a solution. So I enjoy problem solving. So if someone tells me it can't be done, I'm like, just give me a shot. Right. And so I believe attitude and reaction has to do with so many transactions that go south. And so it comes down to that. Are you solutions based? So if we have someone that says, I just got, it went to underwriting and they declined and they said it's not going to work. I'm like, okay, tell me why. Let me see who I have that can get us past this hurdle. So it's all about reactionary. And so it's keeping your emotions to yourself because you are the professional. Like you have to remind agents, like you're the professional. You have to keep your emotions in check because how you react is how your customer is going to react. How you react is how the inspector is going to react. The appraiser, the this, that, and the other. So I want great relationships with the appraisers because it's going to benefit us. The great relationships with the lenders. So to me, it's all about reaction and attitude. And that's a deal killer. Believe it or not, that's it.
It's different every time I ask the question. I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a different answer. And I think the other one was over promising that I've heard before, but emotion can get in the way, right? If you got to keep your cool, you got to keep your emotions in check, and it could, and if not, then it's all about building relationships.
And of course you could pinpoint it to different vendors and different outlets or different areas of the transaction. And at the end of the day, it becomes, are you a solutions-based person? And can you come up with solutions? Or did you do your due diligence? And if not, come up with a solution to do your due diligence on that person. And so to me, that's attitude.
Yeah, I was going to even ask you a question earlier about like how do you build trust between you and the seller, but I feel like your answer would be about it's all about finding a solution, right? Like finding a solution to that problem.
And then finding a solution to their pain.
Right. And for you there usually is, and there's just a way to do it. It's just how to do it, how long and how much, right? But before I get off,
Okay.
thoughts on probate, because I can't get off without, like, and it doesn't have to be anything specific. Like, it could be a story. It could be about, what you think of it and in the terms of the world, because everybody hears about it and it comes up in real estate all the time. I know, I do it, but what are your thoughts on it?
It's a hard process for family. Oftentimes it's a very emotional process, and it doesn't help when the person handling it is not extremely communicative. And so that's one thing I love about you, Al, is you're so communicative. You come from a value standpoint, education standpoint. And I just think that oftentimes it ends up becoming more emotional. It's already emotional, but it becomes more emotional, but it's fired up by frustration because of lack of communication. And so if the emotional process is already that way to begin with, and then there's frustration on top of that, it's a bad experience. And so understanding that there's going to be emotion, again, how to react and how to handle that, and then come up with solutions and education, because oftentimes the families are just in the dark on what probate's going to look like and all of that. And so it's all new. And so the educating them part, and again, just keeping them informed, and that's the key. So I think you and your business, you guys do a great job with that.
Well, I appreciate that, Sarah. Yeah, I strive to always communicate, and whether it's texting or calling. I mean, you can reach me, whether it's like, it's 30 minutes after or half a day after, at the end of the day, it's all about communicating. And you see what happens is we could go on and talk about different topics here with like sellers and communication and key concepts and things that happen in our daily lives. But you're right, when it comes to heirs and families,
you really think outside the box on, okay, like if I can't do that, I could probably do it this way. And so that solutions-based mentality is really good, because you want to make sure you're being represented in the best possible way. So thinking outside the box has been really great, working with you, and then just probate in general.
Yeah, I'm always thinking outside the box. I'm not in the box thinking rigid and like, what's happening. I'm thinking like, what is the possibility that this thing can happen? If it can, I'm going to tell you, and we're going to break it down. You're going to say, no, there's no way the deal makes sense. The money's out. So Sarah, I know you got to go. So I'm so happy you were able to come on here. You are a rock star, no pun intended, right? And you are amazing at what you do. You're a leader, you're inspiring, you're an influencer. I hope I see you more on Clubhouse and doing the rooms and all the stuff that's happening there.
Person at an actual event. I'll take that.
What's that?
I said, how about in person at an actual event?
Oh, absolutely. Like in person at an actual event would be amazing. Well, that's going to happen soon. It's a matter of time. It's why all this video stuff has been amazing, because when do we get the opportunity right now? Let's take advantage of this. And then when we do it later, it even expands more. It's all about building the relationship.
You're doing amazing things. I'm proud to know you, proud to be in business, proud to, I love what you're doing. So great job.
I appreciate that, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, everybody, if you want more content like this, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel. I'm going to have content with Sarah Rocco's podcast, the amazing stuff, talking about all of these different topics, and of the whole pumpkin book, which was amazing. I'm mind blown by that. I need to find all the pumpkins now. But you're going to find all of this content on the YouTube channel. You can find it on Facebook at Al Nicoletti. I have all the micro content, all the stuff Sarah's going to be talking about when it comes live. And I have content on probate, quiet titles, partitions, and different real estate worlds. So make sure you tune into that. So I will see you next time on the Al Nicoletti Show. Take care.